story is about a single moment in a character's life when a definitive choice is made, after which nothing is the same. Hello friends, and welcome back. My name is Elizabeth, and tonight I thought I would share with you some of my favorite writerly quotes. Little quotations, small poems, bits of inspiration, things like that I have gathered, accumulated across the internet like a crow, about writing, to share with you and hopefully inspire you with your writing. Because sometimes we all need that, I know I need that. I'm currently in a little bit of time, i.e. my whole life, where I'm struggling to find creative energy and, being able to push through that block. So, these are the types of quotes that I read online that I surround myself with in order to make it easier for me to write. And even tweets, helpful tweets, the world is just filled with teeny tiny little creative niblets that can help you inspire your writing. And I've included them all on this list for you. And I hope you enjoy them and I hope they help you. And I would also love to know your favorite writerly quotes. Please let me know in the comments below. The first quote is by Mary Higgins Clark. "The first 4 months of writing the book, my mental image is scratching with my hands through granite." True. First 4 years? If you're happy in a dream, does that count? The happiness, does it count? And it was death itself who stood behind me, with his arms wrapped around me as tight as iron bands, and his lipless mouth kissing my neck as if in love. But as well as the horror, I felt a strange longing. We are here and can fill our lungs because our world is populated by towering green giants, with the arcane ability to drink energy from a colossal ball of cosmic fire 93 miles away. It's odd, isn't it? Fairy tale creatures don't often notice the magic of their own worlds. When you are consumed by thoughts, write. When you are uninspired, read. Stephen King. "I just think goodness is more interesting," Morrison said. "Evil is constant. You can think of different ways to murder people, but you can do that at age 5. But you have to be an adult to consciously, deliberately be good. And that's complicated. The trouble is that we have a bad habit, encouraged by pedants and sophisticates, of considering happiness as something rather stupid. Only pain is intellectual, only evil interesting. This is the treason of the artist, a refusal to admit the banality of evil and the terrible boredom of pain. A desire to write grows with writing. Learn to look at your sentences, play with them, make sure there's music, lots of edges and corners to the sounds. Read your work aloud, read poetry aloud, and try to heighten in every way your sensitivity to the sound and rhythm and shape of sentences. Books aren't made in the way that babies are made. They are made like pyramids. There's some long pondered plan, and then great blocks of stone are placed one on top of the other, and it's backbreaking, sweaty, time-consuming work. As things stand now, I'm going to be a writer. I'm not sure that I'm going to be a good one, or even a self-supporting one, but until the dark thumb of fate presses me to the dust and says, 'You are nothing,' I will be a writer." One of the most common mistakes that beginning writers make is leaving their characters alone. Writing, you may be alone. Reading, your audience may be alone, but your character should spend very, very little time alone. The historian will tell you what happened. The novelist will tell you what it felt like. Be clear on every character's agenda in a scene, and the agenda is in conflict. Before you write, take just a moment to jot down what each character in the scene wants, even if, as Kurt Vonnegut once said, it is only a glass of water. Writing is a combination of ditch digging, mountain climbing, treadmill, and childbirth. I learned that you should feel when writing not like Lord Byron on a mountaintop, but like a child stringing beads in kindergarten, happy, absorbed, and quietly putting one bead on after another. Lower your standards and keep writing. Every time I start a new piece of work, it seems I have to spend a long while under the duvet thinking I can't do it. The more accurately one can illuminate a particular human experience, the better the work of art. I hope death is like being carried to your bedroom when you were a child and fell asleep on the couch during a family party. I hope you can hear the laughter from the next room. Your protagonist is your reader's portal into the story. The more observant they can be, the more vivid will be the world you're creating. They don't have to be super educated, they just have to be mentally active. Keep them looking, thinking, wondering, remembering. You can take for granted that people know more or less what a street, a shop, a beach, a sky, an oak tree look like. Tell them what makes this one different. Starting a novel is opening a door on a misty landscape. You can still see very little, but you can smell the earth and feel the wind blowing. I believe that good questions are more important than answers, and the best children's books ask questions and make the readers ask questions. And every new question is going to disturb someone's universe. Novelists, like the alchemists of old, know that true creation takes time and patience, and that it's likely you will have many disasters and failures before you achieve success. In my view, a writer is a writer because even when there is no hope, even when nothing you do shows any signs of promise, you keep writing anyway. I was so desperate to be understood that I would grab people and shove them inside my heart, where they stuck out like splinters, and it would hurt every time I felt anything. She believed a great happiness awaited her somewhere, and for this reason she remained calm as the days flew by. Paralysis again, how I waste my days. When the plane went down in San Francisco, I thought of my friend M. He's obsessed with plane crashes. He memorizes the wrecked metal details, the clear, cool skies, cut by black scars of smoke. Once, while driving, he told me about all the crashes, the one in blue Kentucky, in yellow Iowa, how people go on and how people don't. It was almost a year before I learned that his brother was a pilot. I can't help it, I love the way men love. Just tell me what you saw this morning, like in 2 lines. I saw a water glass on a brown tablecloth, and the light came through it in 3 places. No metaphor. And to resist metaphor is very difficult because you have to actually endure the thing itself, which hurts us for some reason. The house was very quiet in the fog. We were in November now, pressed against the windows like an excluded ghost. I wonder about her fingers, if they've ever raked through the dry dirt of her 20s until they bled, her voice whispering, "Surely something must be growing here, right? Because otherwise, how do you forgive yourself for your rotting?" In the first week of April, the weather turned suddenly, unseasonably, instantly lovely. The sky was blue, the air warm and windless, and the sun beamed on the muddy ground with all the sweet impatience of June. Memory taps a gun to your inner skull and demands you bring back the dead. And I am out with lanterns, looking for myself. Gone mad is what they say, and sometimes run mad, as if mad is a different direction, like west, as if mad is a different house you could step into, or a separate country entirely. But when you go mad, you don't go any other place. You stay where you are, and somebody else comes in. I wish I was only as cruel as the first time I noticed I was cruel, waving my tiny shadow over a pond to scare the copper minnows. All I ever really want to know is how other people are making it through life. Where do they put their body, hour by hour, and how do they cope in sight of it? When I'm rewriting, I feel most creative. I've got all the pieces to the puzzle, and now I get to put them together. Writing is creative, but the guts of it boils down to discipline. Lodged, by Robert Frost. The rain to the wind said, "You push and I'll pelt." They so smote the garden bed that the flowers actually knelt, and lay lodged, though not dead. I know how the flowers felt. Wanting to be a writer and not wanting to be rejected is like wanting to be a boxer and not wanting to get punched. The first fall of snow is not only an event, it is a magical event. You go to bed in one kind of world and wake up in another one quite different. And if this is not enchantment, then where is it to be found? All the trees are losing their leaves, and not one of them is worried. There is nothing new under the sun, but there are new suns. I don't kill my darlings, I cut and paste my darlings into a separate document, assuring each of them I'll find them a more suitable home, and then let them die of natural causes. The writer learns to write, in the last resort, only by writing. He must get words onto paper, even if he is dissatisfied with them. I still hide you in my poetry. You will find your own rhythms as a writer, but unless you are one of the very few, you'll face resistance from yourself every day. Why? Nobody really knows. It seems to be an integral part of the drive to write, a shadow you can never shake. Always mystify, torture, mislead, and surprise the audience as much as possible. I like to write when I feel spiteful. It's like having a good sneeze. My first draft usually has only a few elements worth keeping. I have to find what those are and build from them and throw out what doesn't work, or what simply is not alive. It's your object to convey everything to the reader so that he remembers it not as a story he had read, but something that happened to himself. That's the true test of writing. I usually take a walk after breakfast, write for 3 hours, have lunch, and read in the afternoon. Demons don't like fresh air. They prefer it if you stay in bed with cold feet. When I write, I feel like an armless, legless man with a crayon in his mouth. When I'm writing, I find it's the only time that I feel completely self-possessed, even when the writing itself is not going too well. It's fine therapy for people who are perpetually scared of nameless threats, as I am most of the time. When you are in the middle of a story, it isn't a story at all, but only a confusion, a dark roaring, a blindness, a wreckage of shattered glass and splintered wood, like a house in a whirlwind, or else a boat crushed by the icebergs or swept over the rapids, and all aboard powerless to stop it. I don't have advice. Stop aspiring and start writing. Take a deep breath and tell us your deepest, darkest secrets so we can wipe our brow and know that we're not alone. Find what causes a commotion in your heart. Find a way to write about that. Reading and writing cannot be separated. Reading is breathing in, writing is breathing out. Ah yes, the head is full of books. The hard part is to force them down through the bloodstream and out through the fingers. Write a little every day, without hope, without despair. As a writer, I'm more interested in what people tell themselves happened, rather than what actually happened. Writers live with fear. Some writers cannot deal with the fear, and so they quit or refuse to publish. In order to write, you must either ignore the fear or trick it into leaving you alone.